And 3, 2, 1, action.
What are we doing? Why are we doing this right
Hey.
now? Are you, you guys think it's funny? You think it's funny? It's 3:01.
What are you?
Recording started at 3.
Yeah.
No, it didn't.
Yeah, it did.
It never starts at 3. I
It
just want
says-
everyone to know.
it says on
it's
my
3 o'clock
calendar.
right now. No, listen. I come in here at 3 o'clock and you guys are thinking that 3 o'clock. And you guys are thinking you are never ready.
Yeah,
when every
but
time I come in here, I
to
can
be
come in here.
fair,
I
we
can come in
started
here at
recording at 3.
2:55. I can come in here at 3:07, and we're still getting cameras all set up and ready to go, and I'm just sitting
It
here.
it has not been like that in.
Are you kidding me?
It has not
Are
been
you
like that.
kidding
I
me?
have turned into
Every
Melissa.
time. No.
I have turned into Melissa
This is absolutely
today.
ridiculous. I don't appreciate it.
To be fair, I'm not going to throw. I'm not going to throw the person
the
that thought this idea under the bus.
Who is it?
But it's somebody in this room.
Is it Carter?
It was not Carter.
Yeah. Austin?
It was not Austin.
Kate? First of all,
It was
hold
not
on.
Kate.
Was it you?
It was not me.
What? Justin?
Hey everybody, welcome to the weekday.
No, this is crazy. This is absolutely. I feel like we need to go to break early so that I can
Welcome.
You
So you
sold
guys.
me
adjust,
out.
and then we do our intro. This is crazy.
Hey everybody, welcome.
I'm so angry right now.
Welcome to-
I walked in. You guys thought you were gonna get me, and I walked into you clapping. You thought, we're gonna really get Mike. I stepped over. I got a friggin' cookie. Okay. I should just curse right now, and then you can't even use it. I should just
Watch me.
drop. I should just drop. I should just drop so many unnecessary words.
I'm editing this, so I can put the beep. I can put the beep wherever I want to.
Can you do it right now? I'll tell you what. I'm going to.
You have to make the thing with your mouth.
Oh, I
though.
have to talk.
There it is, right there. And I'll do the pixelation over your mouth
That
too.
sounds good.
Hey everybody, welcome to the weekday. He's gonna eat a cookie real quick while we intro this.
I'm furious right now. You guys think that you're so funny. You think you're so funny.
Justin, I thought it was good.
You really got me.
I really thought it was
you
good.
really got me.
Yeah,
Set up
your
here.
headroom's a little off.
Oh, I wonder why.
We could fix it during the break. This episode 80 something. I'm also gonna have to edit the mouth sounds of the cookie. Probably. I just looked over and there are mouth sounds happening in the mic. Oh gosh. Here I'm turning it over.
No.
Yes.
No, I gotta talk. I gotta say something.
Okay. Say something.
No.
Yes.
I won't. No, because
No, I won't.
No. I'm gonna make life hard for you.
No, I won't.
You guys are making life hard for me.
We're not making life hard for you. You walked into a thing that was already going.
I walked in at 3 o'clock because on my calendar it says 3 to 4. I was in here right at 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Okay? I feel pretty good about it. I'm normally pretty late to things, but I
You
was
heard it here first, folks.
I was
He is
on time.
normally pretty late to things.
Yeah, absolutely. I have no problem admitting that.
We haven't done the weekday in what seems like a year.
You know what? I don't even care anymore. I don't even care.
It's not even called the weekday. It's called the month. Our show is called the month now. Welcome to the month. We haven't done this in, I think it has been over a month now, if not longer.
Sure.
It was since before Riot.
Well, you know what happened the last time we recorded it? Was you guys didn't try to play getcha gotcha journalism on me. That didn't happen last time.
He's real sour today, folks. You okay? Everything okay? Anything going on
I
inside?
just don't appreciate it.
You want to talk about?
I just don't appreciate it.
We were going to play a game.
What game were we going to play?
We were going to play Justin Regales Us with Tales of the DR.
Whatever.
So Justin just got back from a mission trip.
Hold on. I do have a question about the DR. At what point,
The Dominican Republic, by the way, not the doctor.
not the...
The doctor.
At what point, how long do you need to be in the Dominican Republic to refer to it as the DR? Is there a time
Oh no,
limit?
I don't think they call it the DR.
No, they do call it the DR.
Do they?
Don't they, Justin?
I don't
Do you rem-
remember them ever calling it the DR.
Okay, great. Sure. Okay, well, that's even better.
It's like the OC.
That's
We don't
even-
call it that.
That's even better. So, what is the time limit that you? Is it 24 hours? Is it like as soon as you step foot on the soil? What air are you breathing? That you can call it the DR.
I mean, for me, it started the first time I had to write it in an email.
So this is even before.
So-
Wow, this is unprecedented.
It's like a by proxy thing. It's a mail-in vote.
Was it mail-in
Yeah,
vote?
he mailed in. He did a mail-in vote for the DR, and it turned into the Dominican Republic for him. So, Justin, what was the food like?
The food was
you eat?
rice and beans.
Really?
It was
Every
really
meal?
good rice and beans.
Of course
though.
it was.
And it was very fresh fruit.
He ate.
The pineapple was delicious.
Well,
Mango was delicious.
well,
Papaya was delicious. I've never had papaya before.
it tastes like every other fruit, right? Just kind of sticky and gross.
I
Fibery?
love fruit.
Fibrous?
All right, I can make a meal out of fruit specifically.
I feel bad for you.
Fibrous and
don't.
juicy.
It's amazing. Yeah, the food was really
Papaya.
good. Even
Papaya.
those, so rice and beans along with other stuff for every meal.
Did they do like hot
but
dogs in their rice and beans?
there was hot dogs.
Yeah.
They did hot dogs for a day. They did hamburgers for a day, which was also really cool. They grilled it there. So that was nice.
Nothing like a freshly grilled hot dog, am I right?
Oh yeah. You know what? I didn't put ketchup on it.
Do they have
Specifically
ketchup?
Because I remembered the weekday episode.
Yeah, you're not supposed to put ketchup on it. It's mustard
apparently
only.
That's a sin.
It is.
So
Mustard only, friend. Mustard
it
only.
was good. It was good. I would have liked it with ketchup too, though. So like, I feel like I'm still either way on that one.
What were your accommodations like? Your sleeping arrangements?
It was so.
Did they already start it right before you got in there? Whatever it was?
Start what? What do you mean?
Just your
Sleeping?
accommodations?
Well, yeah, they didn't get
Yeah.
in till late, so
Yeah.
probably a lot of people were sleeping.
Yeah. Well,
It's
the
just still
flight
salty.
was like 2
Hold
hours.
on.
late or
You need to
something.
be salty with Justin, okay? So we're trying to have an international man of
salty.
mystery. This dude comes back from like 2 weeks.
We're like an international man of like.
Treachery. This dude comes back from 2 weeks of being on the road, of helping orphanages and painting and capturing smiles, and all he wanted to do was have a little fun with his buddy Mike. And you are insanely salty, and I think you guys need to hug.
I don't think so.
I think during the break you need to hug it out.
We'll be fine.
Hug
Everything will be
it
fine.
out.
Everything will be fine. Everything will
Justin,
be
what were your
fine. I'm a
accommodations like?
profesh.
Well, trying to think. So, yeah, we came in. It was. I'm still thinking about that conversation. Came in 2 hours late. The place where we stayed, it wasn't bad. Like it definitely wasn't what I was expecting.
You were expecting like mud huts and bunk beds?
I mean, to an extent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The DR is
Like,
more
there
civilized than that.
I mean, the food was all provided by the hotel that we stayed at,
Mm-hmm.
which was great. There's a pool there and everything. I didn't go in the pool, but I mean, it was along the beach there. Like it was like a really nice location. I mean, as far as like when you get into it, I mean, like the door that we had, I think it was like half eaten by termites. There was like holes kind of in the door, like you could see
That's for air.
sunlight to the outside.
Yeah, that's for air.
Yeah, but I
Yeah.
mean, like, so like it's not like it's not like a nice hotel from over here, but it was a lot nicer than I was expecting. Like I was really happy with it.
Did you have Wi-Fi?
Honestly, they did offer Wi-Fi at the hotel. I didn't use it. You had to pay for it. But I mean, didn't really like need it.
Yeah.
So I figured it was fine. The where we were though, so it's kind of crazy because like where we were staying, it's pretty nice, but completely surrounded by it. I mean, it's really like a touristy area. A lot of tourists go there, but it's not very different from a touristy area here. You know, like
There were no
the
Ripley's,
roads
believe it
were
or not.
roads were very
Bubblegum shrimps?
Yeah. So there was a Margaritaville, but that was it. That was the only thing that. Was there a Rainforest Cafe? That would have been really great.
There wasn't a
No.
Rainforest Cafe. That was the first thing that I looked for when I got there, and yeah, so I was kind of disappointed about that.
Of course, as you should be.
I think the thing that like stuck out to me the most was like how different like the roads and traffic were. Like the roads are very, very narrow. There's a lot of traffic. Most people there, they use Motorcycles, just because you can see like it's the easiest way to get around.
Sure.
You can just go around cars and stuff like that. But like
It's cheap.
and cheap as well. But there's one point where there's an ambulance that was behind us, and you just can't pull off to the side of the road because there's no room to do that. So you have to keep going, but then at the same time, you're going like down a 1-lane street, and then there's a car coming in the opposite direction. So but we have an ambulance behind us, so that car just kind of has to like back up and like do something else, and like it's like I don't know where that ambulance was heading, but it was not going to get there in
Still
a
on the way.
very, very quick time.
You've been to the DR, right?
I have never been to the DR.
Where did you go? Guatemala?
Guatemala. I've been to Panama.
Is that where you went on a mission
Panama.
trip?
I've been to Panama on a mission trip. I've been to Guatemala on a mission trip. I've been to 46 of 50 states. You know,
Wow.
I've been
what
to
are
Canada.
the four? What are the four?
what are the 4 that I haven't been to? Maine,
June,
Vermont,
And July.
Yeah. Never been to a July that I didn't. Yeah. Maine, Vermont, Hawaii, and Alaska.
Solid.
Hawaii and Alaska?
Never been
I
there.
feel like those are like the nice. Like,
Those are add-ons.
Go there for a.
But no,
vacation.
never been to.
I thought you would have been there on a cruise or something.
I've been to Jamaica.
Yeah,
Mom?
man. Cool. I saw a bunch of pictures and stuff. It looked like you guys were doing what? Helping with orphanages and painting and fixing things up. Is that what was going
We
on?
were able to put together tables. We dropped off a bunch of donations. There's a village there that had a bunch of Haitian refugees that we were able to play with the kids there. and
Oh,
everything.
Haitian
So
refugees.
That was really cool.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. That's cool. Because
Yeah.
I don't know if you knew this. Haiti's been going through some stuff lately.
Asia.
Hasia has been going through some stuff. Yeah. That's cool, man. Would you go again?
Oh yeah. Oh,
Cool.
for sure. Yeah.
Cool. And this is, by the way, he didn't just go with his wife. I mean, this was a trip that was set up for Bay Hope Collide students, correct? There was, 20 people that went on the whole trip?
Yeah.
Ish,
Yep.
20-ish people, a couple of adults and a bunch of students and stuff. So
Yeah.
it's real cool. Bay Hope has been doing a lot of stuff throughout the summer. That's why you haven't seen us, for good reason, our ugly mugs. We are going to...
No, I've just been late to all of them.
I mean, this episode is supposed to be recorded in the beginning of July,
Right.
and we've
like,
just been
I've
waiting.
You've just been waiting.
It's been, yeah. Hey, we are going to talk about some real stuff when we come back, so stick around. Goodbye. Thanks for joining us here on the weekday today. And if you're interested in anything that we're doing with our global online community here at Bay Hope Church, head over to bayhope.com, type in digital into the search box, and join any one of our communities, either on Facebook, on Discord, or on any one of our social media. I forgot how to do this. What do we do now?
I think we're done.
And cut.
Beautiful. Good episode, guys. No, welcome back. We are on episode 80 something. I just saw we're going to get to this article from The Atlantic in just a second. Have you seen Barbie?
Not yet.
Are you going to see it? You
Yeah.
going to do the Barbenheimer thing?
No,
or
I don't
okay.
have 6 hours to spend.
More
to,
than
like,
that, because
yeah.
apparently you need processing time in the middle of all of it. It's like a day. It's
Do
a
you
day's
watch
thing.
Barbie first and then?
No, you do Oppenheimer first.
Can we tell? What is how did this happen? Like, what is
TikTok.
Barbenheimer?
TikTok.
I mean, I know it's watching both these movies back to back, but like, is there a reason why?
They both released on the same day.
That is the only
That's
reason
the only
why.
reason. Yeah, and TikTok. It is the power of the social media zeitgeist, Mike.
There's literally
insane.
no reason outside of just they're on the same day.
No, but here's the funny thing. Like I have,
And like they're two pretty good movies. They're original concepts for the most part.
that's the whole thing. It's not a spin-off of IP outside of like,
I mean,
okay, Barbie's been
Barbie
around.
is.
But like, it's not just, hi Ken, let's go to the beach. Like
Right.
apparently there's a story
Oh, yeah,
to
yeah.
it, and there's like
Someone
Barbie.
saw who I was talking to. They said it was really good.
Barbie looking at the camera and saying, "What is life?"
Yeah,
and like
no, like,
actually
have you ever thought
pondering.
about death?
Yeah, and actually pondering these things.
Yeah.
Like, whoa! And then Oppenheimer is just. He saw Oppenheimer.
Was it good?
It was great.
Yeah.
He said
I mean,
also
I like
Oppenheimer's a
Christopher-
bad dude.
I like Christopher Nolan.
Yeah. Okay.
I didn't realize Oppenheimer was so screwed up.
He didn't realize Oppenheimer was so screwed up. We're talking to somebody that doesn't have a microphone off camera, by the way. Just so everybody knows, my youngest right there is Carter. He's here. Carter, wave at the camera. Good. And then
From
Austin is
behind
over
the
there.
camera.
And then Kate is behind glass where she normally is. So gang's all here. Okay, so we wanted to assemble the Avengers today because two reasons. Number one, we needed to get back on the podcasting horse as we jump into fall, which, by the way, 5 years ago today, our kids were starting school in Georgia. Can you imagine that?
No.
I mean, it's 10 days away.
No, because I was telling Melissa today, I said, like, school starts and it's Christmas. Like, in my head.
Well, school starts and then it's Thanksgiving. Yeah.
No, school starts and it's Christmas. Like that, I don't know why. There's no time in between when school starts and when Christmas happens.
Factually, that's incorrect.
In my mind. Oh, good to know.
Factually, there are like 4 months in between.
That is so good to know because in my head, school starts next Thursday.
There's literally
and
an
the
entire
next day is Christmas Eve.
There's literally an entire third of the year left.
And that's great to know factually. It just the way how I feel.
Perception. Yeah.
How I feel.
Time is a flat circle.
Time.
So speaking of time as a flat circle, it's not. There was an article that I guess it's an op-ed piece by this guy, Jake Meter. Yeah. He wrote in The Atlantic last week. So it's August 1st now. So last week would have been end of July. And the title of this article, and I'll pop it in the show notes so you can read along with us, is The Misunderstood Reason Millions of Americans Stopped Going to Church. Now, if you don't have an Atlantic subscription, it's okay. I'll include an MSN link that has the whole thing because that's the power of the internet. But essentially what the entire article talks about is this author who is, I think, a Christian. Mm-hmm. I mean, ostensibly a Christian.
He feels like a Christian.
And talks about the change that the church has felt in, he didn't really put a time frame on it, but let's say the last 15 years, maybe
even shorter than that.
Maybe last 10 years, pandemic notwithstanding, about how millions of people no longer go to church. Mm-hmm. And the reasons are not as much geared towards theology, and they're not geared towards bibliology and ecclesiology.
40 million Americans have stopped attending church in the past 25 years.
25 years, okay.
That's a 12% decline, the largest...
represents the largest concentrated change in church attendance in American history. And then right there, he says, as a Christian, I feel this shift acutely. So we kind of wanted to chat about this article a little bit because it's very revealing, and it's also very interesting, the viewpoints of the church and the reasons and rationale that people are leaving church. And I guess, Mike, I want to kick it to you. Like, the first thing you pulled out of this was what? The first thing you pulled out of this entire article was what?
Well, here, hold on. I had some screenshots that I should have pulled up. So he says there's one things in here. There's a section in here that just says, what can churches do in such a context? In theory, the Christian church could be an antidote to all of the things that are the reasons people... we probably need to talk about the reasons why people are going.
I told you, I forgot how to do podcasts.
So one of the things that initially stood out to me as I'm reading through this is that so much of the time we are hearing about why people aren't going to church. And the reasons are, well, because the church is a bad place.
Well, and it hurt people, and it's like it's stealing money.
And there's moral corruption. There is spiritual and religious abuse. Like the position of pastor, people don't trust pastors anymore. Like they used to hold in our society, in our context, this position of not authority so much, but as wisdom and respect. And now it's one of the least respected jobs in the country.
Tell me about it.
And so, well, and especially, I mean, you are a pastor, so.
Well, that's all the time we got here, folks.
I'm kidding. So the thing that really stood out to me was it addressed those things as like spiritual abuse and moral corruption, all that kind of stuff, but that's not really what is actually happening.
Right.
And he said it's actually our lives are not set up for people to attend church.
The modern American life is not set up to attend church.
And
it's just not.
No. And as I was reading about it, it filled me with dread, and then it also filled me with incredible hope and optimism for what it could be. So that's what I'll say.
Okay, so he calls it this guy wrote a book called The Great De-Churching, which I don't like the term de-churching because that feels real weird.
Whatever.
But it was this guy Jim Davis, who's a pastor in Orlando, and another guy, Michael Graham, who writes with the Gospel Coalition, which politics and theology and all that stuff aside, they're talking about Jesus. And you're right, the modern American life is not set up to handle church, and specifically to handle the community that comes or that is required to be part of a biblical church, which is frightening. You're right. There is a dread factor there. The main thing being, they call it workism, not workaholism, which I think is an interesting thing. The workism. So anytime you add ism to it, it's essentially like a disease. It is something that is happening to you or something that is manifesting from you. Alcoholism and anachronism, all these isms.
Right.
So the couple of examples are like even for somebody who's in their 30s and they get married, and at some point earlier in their marriage, after their first or second child is born, they stop going to church. Maybe the baby isn't sleeping well, and when Sunday morning finally comes around, it is simply easier to stay home and catch whatever sleep is available as the baby finally falls asleep. That's fine. Like, I understand the parenting one. Totally. You and I both acutely understand the parenting one. But the paragraph goes on. In other cases, a person might be entering mid-career, working a high-stress job requiring 60 or 70-hour work week. Add to that 15 hours of commute time, and suddenly something like the 2/3 of their waking hours in the week are already accounted for. And so when a friend invites them to go to a Sunday morning brunch, they probably want to go to church, but they also want to see that friend because they haven't been able to see them for months, and the friend wins out.
Which makes sense.
Which makes total sense. Outside of the fact that like the average person who doesn't really know about Jesus probably doesn't want to go to church anyway, which I think is...
I mean, I think people are still in some way, shape, or form think about some sort of spiritual community as like a way to feel better about myself. If they were to really like take like an audit of how they're feeling and what they're doing. I'm not saying that church should only solely be used as a way to make yourself feel better. I just think in general, yes, I think some people are like, oh, church is scary. I don't want to do anything about that. But there's still that like deep longing in somebody to be like, why do I feel like crap right now? Why do I feel disconnected from everything? People do think about some sort of spiritual engagement as a way to like, assuage that feeling, but like it's a couple layers under that. So,
well, it's interesting too that we are,
and a friend is a much better way for you to feel better and more connected, but to something rather than going to church, which is the ultimate.
Well, and there's a comfortability factor to it. There's a whole, the brunch thing.
That's why I'm saying it makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. There is an interesting thing that happens when you get later into the article and it starts talking about biblically based community. There's essentially a Christian co-op that the guy goes and joins up with, who they're living the modern day Acts church lifestyle. They're sharing their resources. They're pooling their money. They're doing the thing. He calls them Christian pacifists, which I think is a very funny term to me.
What's the difference?
Yeah, like
how can you be a Christian, not a pacifist?
No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
like I just, it feels very like, ooh.
Yeah.
But so the idea there is that, like I said, they're living in New York State, I'm assuming, and out in the country somewhere, and they're sharing all other things, and they're doing the thing, and they're living happy, healthy, community-fueled lifestyles. But that is such a anti-cultural way of living. That hear me, it was in Acts as well. The church was an anti-cultural thing at the time.
But that's why it exploded.
And also they had the backing of the Jewish population who already were kind of familiar with some of the terms and some of the lifestyle. So there was already like a lingua franca, like a common language there. I think this article hit me maybe a little bit differently than you did.
Well, hold on real quick before you get into that.
Yes.
One of the pictures, I mean, I feel like I know both of these people. Don't you?
The
person entering mid-career.
Yep.
The high stress job, 60, 70 hours work. Like, I can't do anything else.
Yep. Like, I literally have no time to do anything else.
Like,
when do you want me to sleep?
Right. And then I genuinely know, I'm not going to say their names, but like, I know that person.
Yep.
The first one.
Yep.
They have a kid.
Or two.
They just recently had a kid within the past year or so. They volunteer in a ministry here at this church. They're wonderful people. Their family is wonderful. And I remember speaking to the mom, like they had the baby earlier this year. and they went a couple months without coming to church. And I remember seeing them at the extravaganza. They have a bunch of kids. This last kid that they had was like kind of difficult, wasn't sleeping very good. Things were really hard. The husband travels a lot.
Yep.
And I saw her at the Easter egg hunt thing extravaganza that we do. I was talking to her. I was like, hey, how's it going? She's like, it's just really bad. And like, I swear the first thing that came out of her mouth, or one of the first things that came out of her was like, I'm so, like, she's apologizing to me as if I'm Jesus.
Yep.
I'm so sorry we haven't been at church. Like we're trying to really get back. And I wanted to like,
put an arm around her shoulder,
comfort her and be like, that's not why I'm talking to you. Like, I'm not talking to you to try and guilt you or gaslight you into trying to get back to church. Like, I'm genuinely wanting to know how you are. I haven't seen you in a long time. But there was like this immediate of like, oh no, there's people watching me that like, they want to know where I am. And I do think that that's the reality in some churches. That's not the reality here at this church, but there does come a breaking point when it becomes a lot easier to just not go. It's like, I don't want to deal with people getting all up in my business and like asking me weird questions and me having to explain why we haven't been to church, because life's been stinking hard, and we've gotten no help from people at church. And now granted, I know for a fact there were people checking in on them, but like, and I'm not going to say who, because then it's going to give away who I don't want to, I'm trying to keep it as anonymous as possible. But like, I think that there's that is a very real story. And the fact that it is not just a singular person within the church that I know, the fact that those two things, like you would do in a marketing study, or like, hey, for us to market this product to somebody, we need to do some research and then like form a character based off of all of our research.
Yeah.
That's exactly what they've done here 2 times, which means they have talked to a bunch of people who are in these 2 categories, and they have composited all this information. And so while like it makes me sad that there's just this slow decline, and like he said, it's not a falling off a cliff. It is just a gentle downhill slope until you get to the bottom. You have no idea how you got there. Like, it is affirming to me to know that like, oh, people don't necessarily hate church. They just like don't have any time. And it's the entire way their life is set up, which like is probably a harder problem to solve. However, like, I think as the church, we can be compelling enough for people to arrange their schedules in a way to be a part of this community.
So 2 things. Number one, I am involved with a lot of like digital ministries all across the world. And one of the ministries, I actually met with them today. It's something called Creedle, which is remember He Gets Us from
Glue.
Well, it wasn't Glue. He Gets Us is a different organization. Glue just kind of partnered with them. But He Gets Us is kind of the marketing arm of the church.
Sure.
Creedle is that, but in Germany. And so I met with a guy literally who lives in Stuttgart today, this morning. And he said, there's 9 or 10 million Germans. Their population is pretty small compared to the U.S. Less than 1 million of them are professing Christians, which is, okay, that's kind of normal. Like, you hear that all the time. It's a larger percentages in the United States right now, professing, or not professing, but practicing. But he said, it's been a slow, gentle decline for the last 20 or 25 years he's been in the country. Yeah. And the reason he is starting this thing called Creedle and is kind of wanting partners and wanting to reach out and figure out how to do the digital thing is that he says, we can't have that decline anymore. And we need to figure out a way to help people in their busy lives, in their schedules, in all that. Like, if they have questions, where can they go? They can't go to Google because they're going to find 15 different answers about 15 different things. We want to be the source for the answer or the questions that they have. Okay. It's cool. It's a cool thing. So we're slowly becoming the UK, and we're slowly becoming the EU. Like, it's just, it's a thing. It's like
post-Christian society.
Yep. It's the 25-year slide. So there's that, number one. Number two, we are going into a season where we're asking people to join community groups. We're asking people to come on a Wednesday night. We're asking people to do over and above just the hour to an hour and a half on a Sunday morning. And I remember when I wasn't, churches, for church leaders, it's easy for us to sit there and say, well, all we got to do is make church compelling, and we have to sell the church to them, and then they're going to want to give up all their other things. Because it's easy for that. I've done that for 15 years. But there was an intervening 2 years there where I was running a gym. and I was waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I was at the gym from 5:30 in the morning until 8:30 at night, 4 days out of the week. One of the other days I was there from 4:30 in the morning until about 10:30 on a Friday. On a Saturday, we would be doing kids things, and because we have kids and we love the kids and we want to support them. And then Sunday would roll around, and it's like, I have literally been at work for 70 hours this week. I have been at this gym for 70 hours this week.
Yeah,
and
you're exhausted.
now I didn't leave until 8. When did you want me to plug into that small group?
Yeah.
When, like, oh, you wanted me to do that on Saturday evening when you're also telling me, you're preaching to me this gospel of, you got to start with your family. You got to do all this other stuff. So I think it is a little naive for us as church leaders to be like, well, that's all they got. We just got to make it better for them.
Well, and that's not what I'm saying.
I know it's not, but that's the pain point for me when I read this article. That's where I was getting to, was like, I have been through 15 years of people sitting at tables telling me that, like, well, we're just not doing a good enough job at selling the church or making it compelling or giving them a reason enough to. It's like, no, there are too many conflicting messages happening all the time. Yeah. All the time. And like, I don't know how to distill those. Sure. I don't know how to tell people, like, Jesus is obviously going to help you figure those things out, but like, you also kind of need to prioritize your own life. So I've cut you off. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. Well, and to that point, I mean, one of the I'll read this section now that I was reading.
The spoiler earlier.
Yeah, because it just said, what can churches do in such a context? In theory, the Christian church could be an antidote to all of that. What is more needed in our time than a community, what is more needed in our time than a community marked by sincere love, sharing what they have from each according to their ability and to each according to their need, eating regularly, generously serving neighbors, and living lives of quiet virtue and prayer. A healthy church can be a safety net in the harsh American economy by offering its members material assistance in times of need, meals after a baby is born, money for rent after a layoff. Perhaps more important, it reminds people that their identity is not in their job or how much money they make. They are children of God, loved and protected and infinitely valuable. And so to clarify a little bit, because those are very good points, that like, it doesn't matter how shiny you make a church, like, it is never going to compete with people's jobs, people's families, or, even potentially like their drive or ambition to continue to gain more and more and more. Right. What I was maybe alluding to as it being compelling is if there is a way for us to show people that we know that you will never get enough. There will never be enough time. There will never be enough money to make you satisfied. Like, the church is, and Jesus, for that matter, is the actual antidote for all of that stuff that you are feeling. And so, while I was saying before, like, it's a way bigger task than just identifying areas of spiritual abuse, and even though it's bad, and moral corruption, and that's not good either. It is a way taller task to like help people understand they have to reorder and reorganize their life and their goals. And like, to do that, there is a community here that is the church and that is doing the things that the church should do. As church people, it is easy for us to create a service that is shiny, but like, we have reached the end of, and it's never, and maybe there was like a 30-year period where we thought that was what church should be. And
that was the seeker.
And we've talked about that before. Yeah. But in reality, for the 2,000 years that the church has been a thing, I mean, granted, now that I'm thinking about it and processing this out loud, like, the church has kind of always been like this, at least for the last 1,500 years probably, where like big buildings, big shiny things, that has always plagued the church, the Christian, and even the Jewish faith too. Not even thinking about it some more, but that any time that we place that as like, this is what the church should be, it's our service on Sunday. Look at how great and how the lights and the speaking and how professional and polished and excellent all of this stuff is. If that is what we think is what church should be, then yeah, we are always going to lose out. And I think because of it, we have seen a decline the last 25 years. Is there a correlation between like the seeker mentality and like the decline in the last 25 years? I think correlation is not causation in that. Well, Okay.
I think that you.
But it is fascinating that like there's got to be some sort of connection between the two.
Oh, I'm not saying there's not a connection. What I'm saying is the seeker movement has died out because there was no fruit coming from it, essentially. I mean,
which is what they were saying is like if there is for people wanting to make more money or they need to make ends meet, so that means they need to work harder.
Right.
The church should be at the actual like gap in between that.
Right. Yeah. And that's where I was going with that.
Yeah.
Is like I feel like there's a reorienting of priorities.
Yeah.
Not just in church world, but I think in the world in general, especially. Like I was driving around and gas is almost $4 around here again, which whatever, like gas price is going to be gas prices. But
someone coughed in the Middle East. Right.
And now all of a sudden we've got $4 gallons of gasoline. The thing that scares me whenever I see stuff like that is like, cool, well, what's the knock-on effect from the rest of that, and how's that going to affect our economy, and how's that going to affect our livelihood and all those other things. And I think there's a reorienting of priorities in the church where the church world, which is historically very slow to catch up to modern day, is reorienting and reprioritizing its things, spending its money in different places, and has stopped building bigger buildings and has started focusing a little bit smaller, niching down essentially. And I do think that is because of the proliferation of the death of the larger mega churches. You know, people leaving them. So yeah, I think they go hand in hand here. The other kind of big thing that I keep coming back to with something like this is how in 30 years, like what is the legacy that you and I leave in the church? Is it we tore all the bricks down at Willow Creek, man, and I'm using Willow as an example because they were essentially the start of the quote unquote mega church. We tore those bricks down and then we gave it to Shane Claiborne and we let him build the thing. Like how many of those small church movements, the smaller, more intimate communities, do we know about right now? I can think of Tampa Underground. I can think of maybe Casey Underground.
Well, I think there needs to be if people need to reorder their lives and the expectations for their lives, like we as a church probably need to reorder what our assumptions and expectations are for the church as well. I mean, and what's cool about this article, and like I really hope you read it, whoever is listening to this, is that he does give like a blueprint for a lot of this stuff, and even gives, it's not like we like to live our lives in binaries. And it's like, okay, so if the big church shiny thing, not willing to help out with anybody is not the thing, so then it must be, you got to swing all the way over to the opposite side and just be like social justice oriented, like all you do
living
is
under the bridge with everybody.
And he even mentioned that, he said the tragedy of American churches is that they have been so caught up in this same world that we now find they have nothing to offer these suffering people that can't be more easily found somewhere else. American churches have too often been content to function as a kind of vaguely spiritual NGO, an organization detached individuals who meet together for religious services that inspire them, provide practical life advice, or offer positive emotional experiences. And so, like, we can have, you can have both of these on the extremes.
It's not either or.
But I do think there is some sort of like different, and we've talked about it a lot, about, like this, the shiny thing can't be right. The like real gritty thing probably isn't the right thing either. Like where does that leave us? And I just think that we're constantly trying to figure that out. But I was thinking about, this idea that maybe the reason churches are A, so slow to catch up, and B, when we do things that really reflect what the world is doing, and it feels really weird, is because we actually have something, we have a history and like a way to do what we're doing that is so much older and so much more universal and so much more like deep than these tiny little things that pop up that might gain our attention every once in a while. So I don't know, like I think that there's something ancient to like the way that we are supposed to be.
I agree.
And what we are supposed to do that is universal in how it touches and heals, redeems, restores, and connects people.
You ever think about death? Justin, you read the article, albeit probably only an hour and a half ago when I sent it to you mistakenly. But what did you draw from this?
You didn't mean to send it to him?
I did send it to him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, you just said
He sent
mistakenly.
it accidentally.
No, accidentally, I didn't send it to him yesterday when I should have.
Accidentally, I mistakenly sent it to him today
On purposely.
on purpose.
Yep. What did you think, Justin? Give it a 1 to 10 stars.
Ooh.
10 being Oppenheimer, 1 being
Well, he hasn't,
Transformers.
I mean, are
he
we
hasn't
talking
seen
like
either one of those
like
movies.
critiquing like the wordplay or like
1 being Dark Knight, 10 being Dark Knight.
Interstellar.
Interstellar, yeah, the only 2 movies you've seen.
Ooh.
You've seen a
We're
G.I.
about
Joe
halfway
movie.
between Dark Knight and Interstellar.
Oh, what would that be? Dark Knight Rises?
No. ugh.
That's different for everybody. That's the beauty of it.
All right. Well, talk to me about this article there, Duder.
1
Yeah.
minute or less. Go, Justin.
Oh no.
60 seconds. Go.
Ah! Well, I mean, I thought it was good. Something that I liked about it right off from the beginning is, I mean, from reading the title, I didn't think that it was going to be written by a Christian,
Yeah.
but it was.
Yeah.
So that was kind of nice. But tying into what you were just talking about, with kind of trying to like market the church in a way, I mean, obviously, I mean, it seems like we're all in agreement that that's not the right way to go as far as like just focusing on like, you know, trying to like focusing on trying to sell the church to people. But I mean, there's still a lot of churches that do that, which is kind of weird considering I feel like there's a lot of things in the church that, I mean, that people are compelled to do that doesn't make sense in terms of the world. And that's just kind of how Christianity is. Like, you know, tithing, for instance. Tithing isn't something that you can, I feel like, really sell to people, you know, because it just doesn't make sense by the world standards.
Sure.
But once, like, you experience the gospel, it's something that you're just kind of like internally compelled to do. Like other things, I mean, like loving your enemies, that's something else that I feel like you just can't really sell to people, but it's something that you kind of have to experience yourself. And with all of this kind of coming back to experience, I feel like that's why the church really has to, like the article was saying, focus on community, because that is the gospel, you know, bringing the community together and, you know, feeding people that are hungry, and just trying to in any way that you can be more like Jesus, even if it's just, you know, I mean, even if it's just a little bit more than yesterday. But I feel like that speaks a lot more volumes, and that alone, just being the gospel to people, will sell it a lot more than, say, a marketing team hiring the best marketing team would. But
Well, and I do think it is.
Hold on, the Angels are our best marketing team.
There you go.
Like the Anaheim Angels, the baseball team.
You know what? I looked for Angels in the outfield, and it is nowhere able to stream.
Hey, I've seen that movie.
You have?
Hey!
You have not.
We've got 3
Wait
movies.
a sec.
Our video guy has seen.
There's angels out there.
Well, I think it's cool. The whole article is cool too, because the real problem isn't that people don't believe enough, and the real problem isn't that, like, you know, people's theology is incorrect.
Yeah, sex abuse and child abuse and all the other stuff that comes with all that,
which
too.
is what he was saying was already pretty countercultural in like a lot of the political arenas we all like to play in, or the social media worlds that, you know, it's very easy to bicker back and forth with these things, but like the church is just as much a part of this problem as, you know, American families are. And like in the fact that we haven't been able to find the cause and the root of this issue. I was talking with Pastor Matthew about this yesterday, and I just said, hey, thank you for the article, because he sent it to me. And I said, it's really good. And we were talking back and forth about it. And he said, there's another guy, James Emery White.
Love him.
Who's a pastor up in North Carolina, talks a lot about church and culture. And he has said multiple times, the main reason people aren't coming to church is sports. The main reason families aren't coming to church is sports. And it's not like we're not trying to diminish or demean people who are involved in things and have their kids involved in things. It's great to have your kids involved in things, but to what end? to what end are we going to overstuff our lives and leave no room for the things in life that will add value to your life, that will add not just value, but like will help give you a path to live the best life possible. And I told him and this is the last thing I'll say to you, but I was telling him that like Caleb, we've been talking about like what would it look like if he even played travel hockey. And I was like, I just don't think our lives are set up for that. And Caleb, who loves hockey and who is good at hockey, but not like to the extent of like, oh wow, this kid is blowing people away.
He does think he's going to be in the NHL someday.
Right. But he tried out for like a semi-travel team and didn't make it for one reason or the other. Well, I don't even think it was because of his talent or whatever, just had to do with age stuff. But the main coach guy sat all the parents down and said, listen to me. If you think that your child is going to do this and make the NHL, you are wrong. You are playing hockey in Tampa, Florida. Your child will not make the NHL.
That's really good.
Well, it was like a good, and he even understands that like the commitment, it is a all-in, full-on commitment if you want to do something like travel hockey. And that's just like something people don't even give thought about nowadays,
Yep.
So...
Do you want to start ripping on parents and how much they deify their children?
No, that's not. I'm not saying this to. I mean, I know you're kidding, but like
Am I?
But it is a problem where we just think like, well, if our kid wants it, or we want to give them every opportunity, which is true.
100%.
I want to give my children opportunity to an extent. I don't want to give them so much opportunity that it's going to destroy the possibilities for connection, community, in a spiritual community.
It's good.
So,
you need another C though. Connection, community,
Christ.
and cry. Oh, dude, that was really good. All right, Justin, anything before we wrap this episode, this gift bag up and send it off into the internet?
No.
Sail the high seas of the internet.
Satisfied.
You're pretty satisfied. Congratulations
congrats.
there,
Yeah.
pirate Justin Beard. We love you. Hey, do us a favor. If you've made it this far, you can do a couple of things for us because we provided free content for you. You're welcome. Number one, share this with somebody that really needs to hear it. Even if it's just like a passive aggressive, hey, your kids are involved in too many things. Share this with them.
Oh, wow.
Hey, we've got to drive the numbers up.
Marketing.
Yeah, absolutely. Number one. Number two, make sure to like and subscribe and do all the things if you're on YouTube or Facebook. And if you are listening to this in an audio medium, continue. Hey, we love you.
Bye.
We're going to be back on a regular podcasting schedule because fall. We love you. We'll see you next time. Bye. Hey, thanks so much for tuning in to the weekday here at Bay Hope Church. And if you are watching this on YouTube, do us a quick favor and like and subscribe. I know you hear this all the time, but it really does help everything that we're doing here on our YouTube channel. And if you're listening to this on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, do us a quick favor and follow us on Spotify and leave an awesome review on Apple Podcasts. Thanks so much.